Hey there, welcome back to my channel. It's been 5 months since my room makeover, and I still had some more plans to decorate it and organize it. Then studies got intense and this happened. Now that the semester is over, I have more time to pursue my passion projects and enjoy the holidays, starting with giving my room makeover its finishing touches and getting into the Christmas spirit. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. Now let's get into it. This year has been crazy. We can all agree on that. It's been more stressful than anything else, but we've managed to get through it. But in the wake of this pandemic, no one realized how much it would affect our mental well-being. The fact is that, with the pandemic, came certain loss, and thus, grief. We may have lost freedom due to national lockdowns. We may have lost our jobs and, thus, our livelihood and financial stability. We may have lost the lifestyle we had worked so hard to establish. We may have lost loved ones due to distance or, unfortunately, from passing on. The pandemic has been emotionally traumatic for many of us, and we may be experiencing grief from all the things we may have lost. But it may be difficult to admit our grief, because maybe we are feeling a sense of guilt for lacking gratitude for the things we do have, the things we haven't lost. But we need to understand that grief does not take away the importance of what we do have. Psychology today defines grief as the acute pain that accompanies loss. Because it is a reflection of what we love, it can feel all-encompassing. No matter how big or small, we all experience loss and process grief differently, because we are all human and, thus, imperfect. In a perfect world, we would only have positive feelings. In a perfect world, we would be able to keep going despite setbacks. But the perfect world does not exist. What exists is our shared humanity, where we experience emotions. We need to realize that we cannot experience the goodness in life without embracing the sadness, the frustration, the brokenness. As Brené Brown says, we cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb painful emotions, we also numb the positive ones. That is, we cannot count our blessings without first accepting where we are at, even if where we are at right now is grief and loss. Because grief obeys its own trajectory, there is no timetable for feelings of pain after loss. Nor is it possible to avoid suffering altogether. In fact, attempts to suppress or deny grief are just as likely to prolong the process, while also demanding additional emotional effort. As a Christian struggling with chronic anxiety, I have often found myself suppressing the anxiety because I felt like I was not effectively living according to God's will. But by doing so, I end up more burnt out and more unavailable to my loved ones, making living my faith even more of a struggle. This is the same with grief. You may be feeling like the grief is getting in the way of your daily life. If you're a Christian, you may be feeling like you are not being faithful to God because you are more limited than you used to be due to the grief you are experiencing. But just as God affirmed to St. Paul, "My grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness." You don't know it yet, but from this season of brokenness, God will draw something beautiful. But it can only happen if we allow this season to be a part of our journey. Embracing this season may mean something different for each one of us. But here are 5 suggestions of what it may look like. Number 1, naming your current reality. Identify the emotions that accompany the grief and loss, and describe the experience itself. You can do this by chatting with someone you trust, by working through healing with a therapist, or by doing your own internal work through journaling. Number 2, treating grief as a friend. When someone else is experiencing struggle, it is so much easier for us to be compassionate towards them. But when it comes to ourselves, we are much quicker to judge ourselves. Instead of resisting the grief or avoiding the feelings you are experiencing from it, talk to yourself and affirm yourself as you would a friend in the same situation. Number 3, grounding yourself in your true identity. Do not define yourself by your thoughts and feelings. You are not your self-deprecating thoughts. You are not your feelings of failure. You are not what you lost. While you may be experiencing grief and loss, it is okay to experience your emotions. They are not your identity. At the end of the day, your true identity lies in your inherent worth and the unconditional love God has for you. Number 4, tending to your needs. When we experience a mental health decline, we tend to neglect ourselves. But it is during these times that we are in most need of love and care. If what you need is sleep, do your best to sleep. Even if you don't feel like it, have your breakfast to take care of your body. If what you need is to cry, cry. If you find it difficult to do this on your own, reach out to a trusted friend. Sometimes the grief we experience is too hard to bear on our own, and sometimes we need someone to talk to. To those listening from Australia, you can find the resources and contact information to mental health helplines on the description below. Number 5, cherishing what is present. It is so important to be compassionate towards ourselves when we are tackling seasons of difficulty. But just as we acknowledge what we have lost, we also need to acknowledge what is here. Cherish the loved ones that are still present in your life through connection and celebrating time together. Cherish your present reality through mindfulness and really savoring each and every moment. The laughter, the tears, the frustrating, the exciting. Celebrate the life that you do have right here, right now. Cherish the person that you are in this season, by continuously practicing self-compassion, acknowledging your limitations, and celebrating the strengths and desires that you have. There is a little family who understands the struggle of loss. The little family who had to leave their former lives due to their country's census and make their way to Bethlehem. We don't contemplate on this often, but Mary and Joseph had to leave many things behind during the time of Jesus' birth. They had to move away from their loved ones and leave the comfort of their own home while Mary was pregnant with Jesus, and this led her to give birth in the midst of poverty in a humble stable. We cannot imagine the overwhelming feelings they must have felt during that journey, but they embraced the season of loss and struggle, and in the midst of that season, the birth of Jesus brought light to renewed joy, renewed peace, and renewed hope. If you are experiencing grief and loss at this very moment, you are not alone. Many of us are experiencing it, and it is okay to feel it. Just know that this is not the end of the line, and that the best is yet to come. Just remember that the Lord knows well the plans He has in mind for you, plans for your welfare and not for woe, so as to give you a future of hope. And just like Jesus brought light at the end of Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem, so He desires to bring you consolation and love in the midst of your sorrow and loneliness. When you call me and come and pray to me, I will listen to you.